Hey folks, welcome to the Evil DM's Railguns and Dragons series. We're back again I'm back, with another episode of this wonderful series that I've been doing and put on hiatus for a little while. I'm going to continue along with what I was doing when I had stopped. I was doing Heroes Unlimited Basic. I wanted to get through all those character classes. I had recorded a bunch of things and didn't like the way they came out, so I kind of stopped. And now I decided, you know what, let me finish these up because a lot of people were asking me about these episodes and finishing up Heroes Unlimited and moving into things like fantasy and rifts. And I really love those games, so I want to get into those things, but need to finish what I started. So today I'm actually going to jump right into this and do magic characters, right? That's the next thing in line. But it's going to be kind of a two-part series, maybe three. Hopefully it's only going to be two, but three, because there is so many little branches to this that you can't just do it in one sitting. It'd be a really long video, and I like to have the videos that are under 20 minutes or so. I don't like long videos unless it's like an actual play or a character creation example or something like that. Okay, recording is going, so we're looking fine. So let's continue along. So turn to page 88 in the revised basic book. I'm going to continue along with how this works. So first things first, there are 4 ways that you can get your mystic powers or magic powers, and it's a table. I really do love random roll tables. It reminds me of, I don't know, just games from the 80s. Everything was always just roll, roll, roll. So I don't know. I like rolls. Anyway, roll percentile. See what you get. You get Enchanted Weapon, which is basically the source of your power and the weapon itself. Without it, you are basically a weakling, a normal person. You have your skills, but that's it. So think of things like Thor. I can't think of anybody else at the moment, but Thor comes to mind. Enchanted Object is the next one. Much like the previous one, this is a power item, not you, that has the power. So without it, you are a nobody. Kind of think of Green Lantern with his ring, or a superhero you make with a pendant that uses that, or maybe uses a holy symbol in his hand. That's what all the powers will come from. Mystic Study, that's a 2-part class in itself. Either you take the route of an illusionist magic person wielding a little bit, I don't want to say easier magic to learn, but it is, versus actual spell wizardry magic. And then Bestowed. Oh, and Mystic Study would probably pretty much be like, a Gandalf, things like that. Sorry. Bestowed is your typical Shazam type character. Remember, Captain Marvel would say, Shazam, and he transformed from Billy into Captain Marvel. So you are chosen by forces of good or evil, and you are given the ability to transform into this champion after saying the phrase or willing it to yourself in your head. So it is still a trigger, regardless if you say it out loud or will it in your mind. But let's head over to the book so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. There we go. So there's the chart there on the left, as you could see. Let me put my little mouse pointer over it. Can you see that? No, because it's not capturing it. Wonderful. Yeah, all right. I have to turn that on. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, so Enchanted Weapon. We're going to talk about that first. So depending on the campaign you're playing in, generally, you will be a good guy. You're going to have to ask your GM about being the evil alignments. And when I say good and evil, it's not as cut and dry as good and evil, because there are, layers to all those alignments. So there's shades you want to call it. So it's not just good or evil, but I'm going to use good or evil because that's how the book phrases it, as good and or evil. So ask your GM about the evil shades. So we're going to focus on the good, because evil is pretty much the same thing, just really the opposite of what the good gets. Pretty much. So you're going to skip to page 90 next to see what type of weapon your character has found or obtained. So we jump over to page 90, and on this little chart right here, you will roll to see what weapon you basically are going to be the source of your power. Now, how I would normally handle this, I would let the player roll and then see what they get. And then from there, I would ask them, what do you think? And then let them kind of phrase the character in their mind, put on paper, would this work? Would this not work? If it doesn't work with them, I just let them pick. I like to roll first, but I really don't want an unhappy player, so just let them pick at the end. And chances are they'll probably just go with what you have. I mean, a battle axe is cool. A spear, maybe not so much, but short sword, long sword, staff, mace, warhammer, ball and chain, morning star, But it's really, I would say, work with what you get. But everybody is their own person, so whatever. So allow them to pick. Once we determine what that weapon is, so we'll say we got a long sword or something. A large sword, excuse me. I keep saying long because I'm used to D&D. Apologize. Once we determine what that weapon is, we move back to page 89. And then we jot down all the properties that you can see, properties common to all magical weapons. We jot that down on our character sheet underneath our weapon. Because this stuff is very important. I mean, it adds to your parry and strike when you're holding to it. It also adds damage. It allows you to inflict certain types of magical damage when you're wielding this weapon in your hand. So this is all important. It adds to your STC. You jot that down because you need it. And don't forget to add it towards the end when you're finishing up your character, because I have forgot that myself. Then, once we get done with that, we pick 5 things from the powers of the weapon of order of good, because obviously we're good. So when we're looking at that, we're going to look through this list, and we're going to pick 5 of these things that would appeal to you as a character, as a player for your character. And they are some good things. And unless it states in this little agreement here, or a chart or list here, I mean, it could say reference a spell, like reference this on this page. If it doesn't say it anywhere in from here to whatever page they're asking you to look at, then you are free to use it as much as you want that day. There is no limit on how much you can use it, unless it says it. Like the first one here, this can be used 10 times per day in 24 hours. So there's a limit right there. So once we get that out of the way, now obviously this is a long step process that I'm breaking down really slowly for people that want to learn. If you do this by yourself or with an experienced GM or your experience, this will probably get done in, 20 minutes or so, because you know what you want, you know what you pick, things like that. Now, what I do find interesting here is it does make a note that this weapon that you have to any other person is an ordinary, powerless weapon. So anybody else that picks it up would think nothing of it. You could hang it on your wall in plain sight and no one would know the wiser. I mean, I would guess with maybe somebody that senses magical things, magical items, maybe a psychic class from Beyond the Supernatural would be able to figure it out, but it does say it's powerless and has no magical properties. It's just an ordinary weapon. So, kind of a GM call. I would still think that it would do something because it is a magical weapon, regardless if someone picks it up and be like, hey, this does nothing. It's just a crappy sword, and throws it on the ground. So, why not? And then we finally go back to page 90. And we finish up our character class right here. Basic standard character creation for level of education selection. Hand-to-hand is pretty much normal. Weapons and armor, basically whatever you want to pick. That's allowed in the campaign to the GM. Follow the book. Alignment should be good. You get 20 SDC plus whatever you get through magical or physical training. And that is the magic weapon wielder. Now, the Enchanted Object one is kind of similar in a sense. That the object is a small item like a necklace or a medallion or a ring like Green Lantern, or it could be a helmet like Dr. Fate. I was trying to think of the name there for a minute. And regardless of the item, the the item doesn't care what alignment you are. It's good or evil. Use it however you see fit. It doesn't matter. It has no rhyme or reason about it. It just gives you the ability, the user, to harness the power that's in it and use it. You don't know anything about magic, how it works, where it comes from pretty much. I mean, you could, as a GM, make a story about it with your player. Maybe they can discover it. But as far as putting the thing on and using it, you just know how to use it. One of those things. Just like, boom, I know how to shoot a fireball out of my ring or something. You just don't know how it works or anything. You just know that it does work. Next, we're going to find out what type of how many number of spells this uh, object, I keep thinking of the name, I want to say a name, but I just got to call it an object, would know. Because you're going to roll on this new chart here and find out, does it know illusionary spells? Does it know magic and illusionary spells? Does it only know magic spells? Does it actually grant you a major super ability and one minor ability, but no spells? That's what you have to roll in the chart. And I feel with this chart, you should have to roll and not pick, because who's going to pick the smallest things on here? Nobody. I mean, sure, maybe somebody with a challenge and bored or something wants to play something different. We may pick something restrictive, because it's fun to play restrictive things sometimes. But other times it's not. But generally, make them roll. You should. Then next, we're going to see the power level of the spells or the abilities that you get. So this will be when you cast your spells, or whatever you get magic spells, illusionary spells, whatever. They have to be at a certain power level or level when you cast them. It doesn't use your character class, because you yourself are not the magician. The object you're using is actually the magical source, which would mean it needs a level. So then you would roll, and it would be equal to whatever is listed on the chart. And this does not increase ever. I mean, I guess if you find some mystical energy and being in the universe that created it or something, and you have a whole campaign based on that, sure, you can make it big, make it go up in level or something. Then you can do the number of spells per day, how many times you can use spells per day on this chart. Again, that's another roll thing. This, much like the Enchanted Weapon, also has its own properties that you need to jot down when you figure out what your item is. It's a ring. It could be a cape. It could be a glove. It could be a belt. It could be boots. It could be socks. It could be anything you really want it to be. A mystical sock. That's actually quite comical. But anyway, that reminds me of a story of a player who it's a little bit above PG-13, but he decided that his mystical object was going to be a cock ring. I thought that was hysterical. I figured, why not? You want to be that crazy with it? Go for it, dude. Anyway, so the Enchanted Object also has things like the sword. It gives you +2 all saves. It gives you extra SDC. And it also, you have to roll on another chart, giving you some extra things. Obviously, you can't pick them, because there's one that adds 1d4 to any attribute. Who the hell wouldn't pick that? I mean, and finally, when you're finishing up that character, you're going to want to look at the final things here for the education, which is pretty much the same. Combat skills are the same. Attacks per melee. You get your standard 2, along with whatever you pick for more to get more attacks. Generally, everybody was going to start with 4. Some classes will start with 5, depending on what you pick. Alignment generally is going to be good, because it doesn't really matter what the helmet or the item wants you to be. So if you want to be evil, go ahead, be evil. Same thing. And you get 35 SDC through magic and physical training. And you can pretty much do the rest of it, housing and things like that, by going through the chart just to see how much money you start with, what cars in your life, what type of job you have based on your education, things like that. So let me know what you think about these episodes. This has been the part 1 of the magic characters. I'm going to do a second part and hopefully finish it. I don't know. I think it's going to be 3 parts. I apologize for that, but I don't want these videos to go too long. The shorter the videos, like 15 and under, people generally like them more. If you like them longer, let me know in the comments below. You can head over to theevildm.com, my website, and I will put these up here as well. Also, you can support me by going to theevildm.com/support. That brings you to any one of the number sites how you can donate to me and help encourage more videos. Don't forget to hit the like button if it's your first time here. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Share the video. Also comment on the video, because the comments on the video actually help with the YouTube algorithm. It used to be the more you like, the more your video is shown. Actually, the more interaction you have with people via comments, the more your video is shown around. So comment, even if it's a simple comment of great video or wow, that's amazing. If you leave a negative comment, which is also welcome, just make sure it's constructive and not insulting and directing at people or me. You want to say I did something wrong? That's fine. You can correct me by all means. I Always looking for corrections if I mess something up. So with that said, I'm going to say keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.